Hey everyone! In the previous video, Prince and I shared some of our own math experiences. Now we will be going through the last three questions of both the grade 6 and under contest and the grade 7 to 8 one. If you haven't already seen part 1, be sure to check that out.
Okay, so 27 unit cubes, each of them originally having all six of their faces painting white, are assembled to make a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. Then every exposed face of the new cube is painted black. Each of the cubes are converted to dice, where white faces are worth 2 and black faces are worth 5. And then, for example, the corner cubes are dice that have three sides of value 5 and three sides of value 2. And if I select a die at random, and you select the die that has the highest chance of beating me, what is the chance that your roll is higher than mine? So the main thing we want to find is that you, the opponent, will always select the die with three sides of value 5 and three sides of value 2 because it has the highest number of sides with value 5. No matter which one I select. So now we can do some math to find this equation. So the first 3/6 is because we noticed that the only way that your roll is higher than mine is if you get a 5 and I get a 2. And so since you're always going to choose the corner dice, there's a 3 in 6 chance that you get a 5. So now we need to find the chance that I get a 2, which is in the brackets. So the first term here is 8/27, which is the chance that I pick a corner cube. If I pick a corner cube, there's 3 white sides, so there's a 3 in 6 chance. And then there's 12 edge cubes, and if I pick an edge cube, there's 4 white sides, so it's a 4 in 6. And then if I pick one of the center of the face cubes, there's 6 of them, and each of them have 5 white sides. And lastly, if I pick the cube in the center, which is 1 out of 27 cubes, all of the faces are white since none of them are exposed to the outside, so it's a 6 out of 6 chance. So now we can just keep simplifying this. If we keep simplifying, we'll collapse the fractions. And finally, we get our answer, which is a third. So now we want to find p plus q, and it's fully simplified. So p plus q is just 4. So the answer is 4. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll down a bit and paste in the second question, which is question 24. Here. So you are racing your friend across an 11 by 60-meter rectangular field. You start at one corner and race to the opposite corner. Your friend recklessly charges straight towards the opposite corner through the field. However, seeing that the field is very icy and slippery, you decide to run around. If both of you run at a speed of 2 meters per second, how much faster will your friend arrive there? So now we can draw a diagram. So now let's say this is a start, this is the end, and we can label some. So now here, because it's a rectangle, we can just use the Pythagorean theorem. So if we let this hypotenuse be h, we can just do this, and then we can keep calculating. And then here, finally, we get that the answer is 61. So that's the length of the hypotenuse. So now this means that your friend will run 61 meters, whereas you will run 60 plus 11, 71 meters. And so you run 10 meters more than your friend. So at a speed of 2 meters per second, you're 5 seconds slower than your friend. So the answer is 5 seconds. Now finally, problem 25. I'm gonna scroll down a bit more. It says a regular octagon has side length 2. Let its area be A. Assume that a square with side length S has area A plus 1. Consider a regular hexagon with side length S. Its area, fully simplified, is of the form blah blah blah. So now we can use a few formulae, we know that for a regular octagon, given a side length s, the area is 2s squared plus 2s squared times root 2. So now we know side length is 2, so we can just plug that in for s. And then if we calculate it, we get that the answer is 8 plus 8 square root of 2. So now we have found a, so now we need to find s. And that's pretty simple. We just add 1 and square root it, but we don't have to square root it just yet. We can just leave it as s squared, because as we can see in a second, the area of a hexagon requires s squared and not s. So we're going to define x as the area of the regular hexagon. So this is the formula for the area of a regular hexagon. So now we can just plug in 9 plus 8 root 2 for s. So now if we expand the brackets and simplify, we get the answer 27 root 3 plus 24 root 6 all over 2. So now we have the simplified form. So now we just add a, b, c, d, and e. So we get a plus b plus c plus b plus e is equal to 62. So our answer is 62. And now I'm going to hand it over to Kaylyn for the grade 7 and 8 problems.
Okay. Wait, could you copy in like the 7, 8? Oh, okay. Um, so for question 23, I think this was what I was referring to by emotional damage. But so there's a 5-digit number that is exactly 45 times the product of its digits, and we want to find what the number is. So I guess we can write this number as A, B, C, D, E. And then we draw a line on top to represent that it's like 5 digits and not the product. Um, and this is equal to 45. Why is my handwriting? Okay. 45 times A times B times C times D times E, right? Um, and then basically you can first observe that if any of A, B, C, D, or E is even, then that means that 45 times A times B times C times D times E would end in a 0. So then that would mean that E is 0, right? But that's not possible because if E is 0, then the right-hand side would be 0 times a number. So that means that the left-hand side would be 0, and that is not a 5-digit number. So that means that A, B, C, D, and E are all odd. Um, and we see that the right-hand side is 45 times an odd number. So that means that the units digit of this product would be 5. So that means that E is equal to 5. And then we can rewrite this as A, B, C, D, 5 is equal to 45 times A times B times C times D times E. And we can factor 45 to be 3 squared times 5. So if we factor in another E, then that's 5 squared. And then times A times B times C times D. Um, and then we can consider D now. So we see that the right-hand side is 25 times a number. So that means that the last two digits of this product would be 25, 50, 75, or 00. And we know that it has to be odd, so it's either 25 or 75. So that means that D is either 2 or 7. And because we already established that A, B, C, and D are all odd, D has to be 7. So we can now rewrite this as A, B, C, 7, 5 is equal to 3 squared times 5 squared times 7 times A times B times C. Um, and now I guess for A, B, and C, you see that this number ABC75 is a multiple of 9, which means that A plus B plus C plus 7 plus 5 is a multiple of 9. So that means that A plus B plus C would have to be 6, 15, or 24. And I guess from there you can just trial and error, and then you see that 6 and 24 both don't work. Um, because A, B, and C are all odd, so their sum would be odd. So then A plus B plus C would have to be 15, right? And then after you get that, you just figure out what A, B, and C are by just bashing every case out. There's not that many, I guess, that you have to consider. Um, and then in the end, you see that um 771 works. So your final answer would be A, B, C, D, E is equal to 77175. Okay, so that's question 23. Um, okay, question 24. So Alice started doing her homework after school. When she looked at the clock at the beginning, she noticed that the minute hand was just slightly ahead of the hour hand. And when she finished her homework, she saw that the positions of the hands had swapped. So we want to find how many minutes she spent doing her homework. Um, so I'm gonna zoom in. So for this question, you can consider the angle to be x. So this is x degrees between the minute and the hour hand. So then from the beginning, or like from when she started doing her homework to when she finished, the angle that the hour hand moves is x degrees. So our hand is x degrees. I don't know why my handwriting is looking like that. There's something wrong with anyway. Um, and then the minute hand is 360 minus x degrees. Right, and then you can calculate how many minutes had passed by setting an equality. So this is x over 360 degrees times 12 times 60 is equal to how many minutes have passed based on the hour hand. And then 360 minus x over 360. And then you multiply that by 60 is equal to how many minutes have passed based on the minute hand. And then you basically just solve for x after this. So x would be 360 over 13, de or not degrees. Oh yeah, it is degrees. Okay. So then you plug that into either equation, and then you see that Alice spends 720 over 13 minutes doing her homework. So then you add A plus B, and then your answer will be 733. Okay. So last question, question 25. Um, a cube has side length 6. There are two identical spheres inside the cube so that each is tangent to three sides, and they are tangent to each other. The radius of this sphere, fully simplified, is whatever, and then you find A plus B plus C plus D. I actually don't know how to draw this diagram over here. Um, so basically you have a cube, right? And then Okay, that's your cube. And then you have like a sphere over here that's tangent to this side, and the one over here, right? And then you have another sphere over here. Okay, pretend they're the same size. And then this sphere is tangent to this side, and then the top, right? So then these two spheres are tangent to each other, and they're all tangent to the sides of the cube. So you can consider the space diagonal of the cube, which is from this vertex to this vertex. So that length would be 6 root 3, right? And then, so if you let the radius of each sphere be r, then you can write 6 root 3 as 2 times r root 3 plus r, right? Because if you consider like the point where they meet, that's this length is r, and then this length is r root 3. I don't think a cross-sectional diagram works, except if you're doing it like space diagonally. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So then now you have an equation for r, and then you can solve for it. So if you first divide both sides by 2, then you get 3 root 3 is equal to r times root 3 plus 1. So then 3 root 3 is equal to root 3 plus 1 times. So then r is equal to 3 root 3 over root 3 plus 1. And then you can simplify that and rationalize the denominator. And then you see that a plus b plus c plus d is like 9 plus 3 plus 3 plus like 2 or something. So then a plus b plus c plus d would be 17. And yeah, that's 23, 24, and 25. And that wraps up our breakdown of questions 23 to 25 from the contest. Let us know in the comments how many you got right or which one made you think the hardest. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on much more math content from us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.